John, you ready?
Ready.
Go ahead with questions for KeyShawn.
I wasn't ready, but I mean, for you guys, it'll be your first real tough road environment. Just, you've played in these things before in the SEC and stuff. Like, what can you do to prepare the players who haven't experienced this before to get themselves ready for what they might face on Tuesday?
Well, just the basics, really. Just, knowing what the tendencies are and what they like to do. I feel like, that part and just the mental part of knowing, hostile environment and you go into a place where nobody's going to like you. So just keeping a level head and just stand cool and composed and stick to what we do and take care of itself.
You guys opened in Lincoln last year or 2 years ago? When did you play there?
Last year.
Last year.
Yeah, for sure.
So there was no fans, right?
No fans.
Okay.
Yeah, but bad outcome, you know what I'm saying? But,
right.
It was cool. It was a cool experience. I played them my first start ever as a college athlete, so it was pretty dope.
Gotcha.
Do you ever remember a moment where you, early in your career, where you felt the jitters of the first tough road environment you played in?
I would say, yeah. Ole Miss. My great-grandma passed a few years ago, and we had a game against Ole Miss the day after the funeral. So it was emotional and exciting at the same time. But I would say Ole Miss, Mississippi State is a big rivalry in the SEC. Obviously, two hometown schools, big game. So that's one I remember vividly.
Did you know anything from that at all?
Yeah. I mean, I had a few guys that I've known from Ole Miss and Mississippi State, just playing through them high school and stuff like that. So the memories was last because I don't know, we played at high school and then carried on to college, and it was just pretty fun. I mean, hostile environments is a real thing. You have fans saying this and that, and you just out there to compete. But it's pretty crazy, but it's fun though. You embrace it. That's what makes it fun.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, this Tuesday, it's another rivalry game.
Right.
You haven't necessarily been a part of it, but you know kind of what that means.
Sure.
How as a team do you keep from getting too emotional if the fans are going crazy, maybe bad call or get excited? How do you keep it level?
Just staying composed. I know when I was younger, playing a rivalry school, it was man, let's get it, you know what I'm saying? Let's go kill these dudes. But just keeping composed, like I said, and just sticking to what we do and what we know is really what's going to help us out.
You heard from anybody about Nebraska? Has anyone?
I just heard they don't really like us.
There you go.
Accurate.
Yeah.
For sure. Yes, sir.
Well, you got 2 games under your belt here on this uniform. What have you kind of taken away personally about getting to play out on the court with this team and fitting into your role here?
Right. Well, honestly, just I'd say I start with the fans. That's amazing part to have here, and I feel just being a part of this team is it's tremendous, bro. It's last year I was part of a team, but this is a real family, and just joining with these guys and coming together as a family has helped me as a player and as a person. So carrying it on the court and just playing for one another is probably the biggest takeaway. Just playing for each other. So.
Yeah, how do you think? I mean, you guys had 2 games where they've been a little bit different the way they played out. You got the win,
for sure.
But there's a lot to work on. How do you think this team's going to handle that piece of it? Just getting back to work.
Yeah, I'll just say just keep trying to play at our pace. You have different teams trying to throw different things just to slow us down because they like to play fast. But I don't know, just sticking like I said to what we know and what we do, and feel take care of ourselves. So
2 more for Keith.
Did you expect Kennesaw to come out and be as kind of competitive as they were against you guys? You guys kind of had to wake up a little bit in that game?
Yeah, I would say just watching the game before, they was competitive against Iowa State, and just the tendencies and stuff to just attack the rim and get downhill. That we have to try to keep them out of the paint. But yeah, they have some fight in them. They lost a close game right before they played us, so we knew it was they had on their mind that they could feel like they can get us because we're a younger team as well. But I don't know, yeah.
They had 40 rebounds in that game.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Obviously, not something that you guys want to see at all. Is that something kind of that Coach maybe emphasized? Obviously that can't happen.
Yeah, for
is that
sure.
sort of a focus that you guys want to try to limit?
For sure. Just blocking out and going to get the ball is, what we preach really. Possession. You got to have possessions in order to score. So rebounding is a big part. Focusing on that, we good. Be all right.
Man, it felt like you had a couple of those. You guys had your hands on it. It just,
right. For
whatever.
sure. I mean, it bounces like that sometimes, but just grabbing it with two hands, that's a big thing too. I like sometimes I have a tendency to go after one hand and a few other guys as well. And coach just reminds us to grab it with two hands and secure those rebounds. Sure.
Alex, obviously the 3-point shooting for the night is kind of solid. Not what you guys are seeing. Is that kind of now point of focus in practice and moves out for a couple days, especially getting ready for Nebraska?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say it definitely will be. Probably after we'll definitely get some shots up, and maybe during. But I mean, we know those shots are gonna fall. I mean, it's early in the season. We can't come out and go. What was it? What did we do in the second half of that game? 20 for 22 or whatever it was. We can't come out and do that every night. But I mean, we're gonna prepare really well here these next few days. Definitely get a lot of shots up, so that doesn't happen again to us. But we know those shots are going to come. It's early in the season, so we're not too worried about that right now.
I was curious, what do you remember about your younger college days and your first big road game? First big rivalry road game, like UNC, Florida State, Syracuse, all those ones where there was a lot of juice going into it.
Yeah, I mean, I can ever since I was a freshman, I always found joy in those games. I always thought they were a lot of fun to play in. I'm the kind of guy, I kind of enjoy the hostility and the crowd noise and all that stuff. So, I'm the one who kind of looks forward to that stuff. I might get a little nervous beforehand, but once I see the ball go in or I make a play, the nerves are gone, and then it's just enjoy that. Enjoy those screams and those people hating on you. I think it's fun and it's kind of motivating too. So, I'm definitely looking forward to it, and I know the young guys are too.
Is there something about, the sort of common assumption as well, young team going on the road for the first time, you don't know what's going to happen. What, from your experience, when it doesn't go well for a young team on the road, what is the reason for that? What are the things you guys going to try to avoid when you go on the road?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, we're obviously a young team, so I mean, there will be some ups and downs, especially when we go into these road games, with these hostile environments. So I mean, just trying to make sure that we stay poised and make sure that we understand that, it's us on the court playing, it's not the fans. Don't let that bother you or that kind of stuff get in your head. So, I mean, hopefully we can avoid any slip-ups or any that kind of stuff, but it's going to happen, and, the big thing for us is just going to, get on to the next play and, scratch the last play and just keep playing and remember that it's just us on the floor playing. And we have to bring our own energy in those kind of environments. All the energy is for the away team or the home team, so it's big for us to bring our own energy and, really be into it before the game starts.
Have you seen them play yet this year?
I've watched a little bit of film on their recent games, but I haven't seen much of them. But I know they're a really good team. They're a well-coached team, so there's nothing we should underestimate about them, obviously. I mean, we're going to go in there and play our game and play our basketball.
Do you know anything about this rivalry, Nebraska Creighton?
Yeah. I mean, I know a little bit about it. I obviously didn't play in the rivalry last year, but I obviously know that's the biggest basketball rivalry probably in the state of Nebraska, and I know there's a lot of people who are football fans for Nebraska and then are basketball fans for Creighton. So, I think it's going to be an awesome environment, and I'm really excited about it. And I'm also, pretty honored to play in another rivalry. It's pretty cool to be a part of my college career.
Yeah, I know playing without fouling is kind of like the hallmark of this defense, but they've drawn 55 fouls in their first two games. How big of a key is that, especially in terms of stopping them from settling into the game before you guys do?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a big key for us. I mean, we don't want to put them on the free throw line too many times, and like you said, it's going to be big for us to, guard the dribble without fouling and keeping them off the line. So, I mean, if we can go in there and guard them without fouling and limit their number of free throw attempts, I think that'll be a big key for us in the game.
Two more for Alex.
How big of a test do you think this will be for you guys, and just kind of an indication of what you might need to work on as the season continues?
Yeah, I mean, I think it'll be a great test. I think our first two games that we played have been good tests. They've given us good looks at teams who pressure the ball and deny the ball. So I think this will definitely be a good test. It'll be our first road game. It'll be a hostile environment, as we all know. And I think it'll be good for these guys to get a game like this under their belt early in the season and just, feel what those environments are like and, to know that this won't be the first time that we play in an environment like that during this year. So it's definitely a great game for us to schedule this time of the season.
This is the last packed away arena you played in.
And probably my junior year was, UNC at Duke, UNC, that game we won at the buzzer. So that was a crazy one. I played played in a lot of big-time arenas, you know, with hostile environments. A lot of those ACC away games, you know, when Duke comes into play, they fill the pack, they pack the house. So it's fun. Like I said, I really enjoy that kind of stuff, and I'm really looking forward to this matchup. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Alex.
First thing that stands out is they've shot 67 free throws their first 2 games. Like, how do you keep them off the line and keep them from kind of settling into the game that way?
Well, Kennesaw shot 36 their first game, so you don't foul them. It's pretty simple. You know, you try to stay disciplined and stay on your feet, show your hands to the referee. And, you know, we've always tried not to put people on the free throw line, and for the most part, we've been successful with it.
Is there an element of trying to educate these guys on the rivalry? How deep do you go with it, or you just sort of prepare like it's another game?
It's more than another game, obviously, because it's in state, but none of these guys have even played in it. I guess Sharif 3 years ago would be the only one that's experienced any fans in a game in this series. So, you know, they understand how big it is because they talk to kids on campus and around town and stuff. So, but you know, we've got a big week ahead. We've got 4 games here, you know, starting on Tuesday in 6 days. So, you know, we've got to try to make sure we manage our bodies and our minds in the right way to make sure we're ready for the week ahead.
Thank you. Like you mentioned, having to be very, you know, specific with what you try to focus on each day. So as you get into a stretch like this, maybe from those first 2 games leading into it, what's top of mind for you in terms of what you want to see this team, you know, get better at in these next couple of days?
Well, today is really a day we can spend on us. You know, we may work some of Nebraska's concepts into some of our drill work, but we're going to spend most of the time today working on us because it's going to be very difficult to do that this week. And we've made solid progress because we've been able to do that a lot going back to the end of September. And now when you start playing a bunch of games, there can be slippage in a lot of those fundamental drills you do day in and day out. So today will be about us, and you know, we got to get our pace a little better. I think both in the full court and in the quarter court. I just think you know, we're a little slower than I would like to be in that regard. Defensively, I thought we were really good in that game on Thursday night. We needed to be. You know, when you're not making shots, you've got to be able to get stops and rebound the basketball. And for the most part, we did that. So, you know, it'll be a good film session because there's some things that, you know, on offense that we could have done better. But defensively, there's also some good clips there of, you know, here's why we won the game.
How will the environment, the sort of like energy in the building and in a away venue test your team? You know, like what ways will?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say. Obviously, it'll be a challenge, you know, because most of these guys have never been in that situation. So we'll learn a lot about our team. You know, in those situations, you have to communicate in the huddle. You got to make sure when you substitute into the game that you're communicating with the person that you're going in for to make sure there's not any slippage there. You got to every dead ball, you've got to try to get together and communicate because it's harder to hear the coaching staff. So you know, this will be a good test for us because it's, you know, really we had none of that last year. You know, probably the closest environment to normal was in Kansas, and there's 2,500 people in Allen Fieldhouse in November. So we just haven't experienced it for a long time. So it'll be interesting to see how we respond.
What's your opinion of Bryce McDermott so far and how he's gotten his career off to a good start?
He's really good. You know, he's going to be he's got a long career ahead of him in this game. You know, he moves so easy, effortlessly. Obviously, he's got great length. He shoots the ball extremely well. But you know, he can get out in transition and hurt you in the open floor as well. Just one of those guys as he gets stronger, look out. You know, but you know, you saw last night what he's capable of doing. I don't know what he ended up with, 25 or 26, 29. But he can, you know, he can really score the ball for a young player. And you know, Fred puts him in situations where, you know, he puts him in space and creates some opportunities for him as well. So you know, he's got our full attention.
This game, you know, it means, I mean, the fans always, when you talk about rivalry, you can't help but think about fans. Does that energy filter into your team at all as you get closer, do you think, or are you able to just sort of, like you mentioned, hey, well, they'll probably hear from students or friends or family during the course of the
I mean, it's a little different when you've had guys here that have been part of it. We just haven't had many guys that have played in this series. You know, a guy like Sharif, who's from Nebraska, I think it's a little different for him because he understands and appreciates the rivalry because he's grown up watching it. But the rest of these guys, I mean, they don't know, you know. So we're gonna find out about 6 o'clock Tuesday night. But you know, that's what makes college basketball fun. It'll be fun to be back in an environment that's electric, and you know, they do a great job of filling that place, and their fans are really into the games.
It's interesting because go ahead. I was just going to say you're going to play this game that you'll have a lot of attention on it, you know, especially locally, people will watch it. But man, you mentioned this weekend, the next weekend, you've got tests. You've got more tests coming up in Big East play. How do you, I mean, I'm sure you're not going to put too much on it, the result of it, but how do you make sure that these guys don't necessarily get maybe too amped up or too focused on whatever happens, good or bad?
This generation, they get over stuff really, really fast. So you don't have to worry about that. Us coaches and fans live with it a lot longer than the players do. That's just the reality of their generation. They flip to the next page relatively quickly. And you know, the key is, you've got to be able to get over a loss should it happen, but you also have to get past a win and be able to learn from victory as well. And you know, so far I think we've been able to do that. We took some things from Tuesday's game, especially on the defensive end, that really helped us on Thursday. And hopefully after this film session today, we can take some of these things to the floor and be a little better in some areas when we step on the floor Tuesday night.
Your relationship with Coach Hoiberg, how far does that go back? And just kind of what's that respect that you guys have?
Well, you know, obviously we both grew up in Iowa. I'm significantly older than him, but you know, was well aware of him when he was a high school player. And then when I got the Iowa State job, it's probably when the relationship started. He's one of the best ever play at Iowa State, so as the coach of Iowa State, you want to make sure you connect and develop a relationship. And you know, then when I came over here and he followed me at Iowa State, we spent a lot of time together. His wife Carol and Teresa and I on some Nike trips where we'd spend a lot of time with them, with Coach Jacobson and his wife at Northern Iowa, Coach Bill Fenley and his wife Deb at Iowa State on the women's side. We spent a lot of time together on those trips. So, and then obviously being 45 minutes away, we've seen each other quite a bit. So, you know, I've always had a tremendous respect for him. Besides that, he also coached Doug in Chicago for a year and a half. So, you know, he's a great human being and a heck of a basketball coach. And you can see that the progress that he's making with that program at Nebraska. And, you know, my guess is it's going to continue to get better under his leadership.
Do you ever talk to each other before the game?
We probably won't have any text exchange, but we'll talk a little bit on Tuesday when we get on the floor. But he's a good man, and you know, I think represents their program in a first-class manner.
Thanks.
Thank you.